Hello, I'm Kiran Singh Sirar, President of the International Storytelling Centre, and I want to welcome you to Storytelling Online. This performance is part of our special online winter storytelling series that runs through March 10th. We hope you'll join us in the coming weeks for these exceptional performances. The full schedule with all the details is available on the ISC website, storytellingcentre.net. Our concert today features bilingual storytellers Antonio Sacre and Jasmin Cardenas. Born in Boston to a Cuban father and Irish-American mother, Antonio Sacre is an internationally touring storyteller, author and solo performance artist. Jasmin Cardenas, the daughter of immigrant parents, is an award-winning Colombian-American storyteller, actress and educator. Please give a warm bienvenidos to them both.
When I was younger, after college, I moved to Chicago to study theater at Northwestern University. I achieved a master's degree in theater, and I became the fabulously successful actor you see before you today. I never made it in acting. I never got a TV show like Bill Lepp. Every time you see him, he'll tell you about his TV show. And all kidding aside, it's a fantastic show, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I was very lucky in graduate school while I was studying to be an actor to take a storytelling class, which was my introduction into storytelling. And those early years as a storyteller in Chicago, I was mentored by all that amazing crew of Chicago tellers that are mentors and friends and colleagues to this day, men and women that I love, and some of them I miss, Sid Lieberman, and the rest of them, I just so indebted to them. I can't thank them enough. But those early years as a storyteller were a little hard. So I began to save money wherever I could. I took the bike instead of getting a car. A bicycle saved me a lot of money. If I needed to go somewhere, I would take a bus. Take me a little bit of extra time, but I would save the money. I saved money by having roommates, including my brother. My brother Henry lived with me. I'm so close with my brother, I named my son after my brother. And my brother Henry lived with me, and he used to tell a joke when we would live together. He would say, yeah, Antonio, you're saving a lot of money because you're not making a whole lot of money as a storyteller. I said, I know, it's good. I like riding my bike. I like not doing laundry, just turning the underwear inside and out so you can get 2 days out of them. Listen, children listening, don't do that. That's disgusting. You don't need to save money that bad. You can go to your parents' house and live there and do your laundry for free. So anyway, my brother would say, yeah, I saw your wallet the other day. You got like $11 in there. I said, I know. I've been saving that $11 for the last 3 weeks. He says, well, yeah, I know, because I pulled out $1 because I needed $1. And George Washington on the bill of the dollar, he started blinking. He's like, oh, wow, I haven't seen the light of day in 2 weeks. Oh my God. So, that's me. That's me with $1. But I finally made it as a storyteller, and now I'm living in fabulous wealth and luxury in Los Angeles. I'm after a 2-year pandemic. I didn't perform once in 2 years live. Anyway, but the point is, I finally did make it, and I met and married an amazing woman who is a high school English teacher and who makes a decent amount of money and saves a lot of it. She's phenomenal with her money. But every last bit of money that she didn't save, she spends on clothes. Like this fabulous red rain jacket. It's a rain jacket in Los Angeles. She uses it like twice a year. Every time it rains, those 2 times a year in Los Angeles, she uses this rain jacket. I wish we had that $600 back. She also has, for the 3 days a year that it's cold, this velvet smoking jacket. She doesn't smoke. You can't smoke in Los Angeles. It's not allowed. But she has a velvet smoking jacket for the 2 days it's cold. And another thing that she did was she bought a brand new, sporty, fast, turbo, leather-seated Mazda 3 in 2005. As I'm recording this, that was, what's the math? 16 years ago. We save money to be a one-car family in Los Angeles. Now, part of it is saving money, part of it is saving the environment, part of it is there's no parking in my neighborhood, and part of it is when I do travel, I usually travel on an airplane, I don't need a car. I do have a bike here in Los Angeles. I'm one of the only lonely bikers in Los Angeles, and it is a way that we save money. Now, her car is an amazing car. It now has 176,000 miles on it. And this summer, we wanted to visit her favorite cousin and his 2 children, who are best friends with my 2 children. And we looked into flights, and they were very expensive. And we thought about driving the car. She said, I don't know, honey, it's got 176,000 miles, it's 16 years old. I don't know if we can go through the Nevada desert, through the Utah desert, up the Continental Divide, down the other side to Denver to see my cousin. And I said, I think you're right. I'm going to rent a car. This summer being what this summer was, I went to the car rental place and they said, absolutely, we will rent you a beautiful brand new car with everything you would ever need. It's only $2,200. It was cheaper to fly to Denver than to rent a car from Los Angeles. I said, I'm not paying for a... And I took my car to my mechanic, and my mechanic has kept our car on the road for all of these years. And he says, yeah, that's it. That car is a great car. It's a Mazda. It's going to be a great car. It's going to make it there the whole way. I said, great. What about the air conditioning? He says, is it working? Turned it on. Yeah, it's working fine. He says, no problem at all. You're going to have a great time. We decided that we were going to leave Los Angeles, go over the San Bernardino Mountains, through Las Vegas and the Nevada desert, through the Utah desert, and stop in Zion Canyon, Grand Canyon National Park, over the Rockies, down into Denver. Our first part of the trip was fantastic, except that the windows in the car stopped working. No big deal. We had air conditioning. It was too loud when you put the windows down anyway. My kids love to put their hand outside and make it go like this and that. No problem. Windows weren't working. Fix it when I get home. Not a big deal. When we get through the desert of Las Vegas, it is now 122 degrees outside. My wife runs a little bit cold in the car, so we keep the AC on 3. And my children in the back says, oh, can you turn up the AC, Dad? Sure. I turn it up to 4, and nothing happens. Not the AC didn't go up a notch, it cut off. My son says, it's hot. I said, I know. He said, turn on the AC. I said, it's on. He said, what do you mean it's on? We don't find anything. And he starts to have an 11-and-a-half-year-old meltdown. Honey, we'll pull over. We pulled over, get into the shade. The AC started working again. Great. We started driving for about 30 minutes. It was fine. And then the AC kicks off again. We pull over every 30 minutes to fix the AC. And I figure when we get to Denver, I'm going to call the service guy. It's going to be great. And what's the big deal? We have a sunroof. So what I would do is I'd just open up the sunroof and let the 120-degree desert air refresh us in the car. I said, toughen up. We're driving along, stopping every 30 minutes, and we get to Zion. If you've never driven through Zion, drive through Zion. This incredible 5 miles through this road, and we're looking out through the sunroof. And my son says, Dad. And my daughter says, Mom. It's amazing. We get out of Zion. It's only 50 miles to our stop. We stop. The hotel has amazing AC. We crank it to as low as it'll go. The next day, I said, let's go to the Grand Canyon. My son says, let's go right to Denver and see our cousins. Honey, we're just 60 miles from the Grand Canyon. Let's just drive and look out over the rim. I don't want to see the Grand Canyon. I said, we're 60 miles from the Grand Canyon. We're going to see the Grand Canyon. My wife says, breathe, honey. We drive 60 miles. My son just stewing in the back. My daughter looking out. It starts to get even more beautiful as the desert turns to trees and then forest and plateau, and we're climbing. And when we get to the edge of the Grand Canyon, it's an 1/8 of a mile walk to the rim. I'm not going. You're walking an 1/8 of a mile to see one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. And I grab him like my mom did to me, like every single parent did to every single child in the 70s. You can't do it nowadays. You get in trouble. But my wife says, calm down. I calm down. She talks to him, the voice of reason. And finally, the happy family walks an eighth of a mile to the edge of the Grand Canyon, the North Rim. We're looking down on birds and hawks. We're looking at history. We're looking at a natural wonder of the world. And for 60 seconds, it is a moment of magic. It validates the 120-degree heat without an AC, just air coming in through the sunroof. It validates car fights. And there's the Grand Canyon. And my son says, wow. It's a big hole in the ground. Hole, same hole. It's just a big hole in the ground. Thanks, Dad. He turns around and he storms back to the car. And years of being raised in the 70s and being screamed at by everyone, my wife just says it's not worth it. And it wasn't. And he stormed back to the car. And my daughter said, yeah, he's right. It's a big hole in the ground. She walked back to the car. And my wife and I, laughing and crying with our arms around each other, spent a solid 5 minutes on the North Rim of the Grand Canyon National Park and took in the wonder. We got back in the car. We made it over the Continental Divide. And once it was no longer hot and our car wasn't climbing anymore, on the down slope of the Rocky Mountains, the AC picked up. We sang 100 bottles of beer on the wall, because I don't care what year it is or that I live in Los Angeles, we're singing 100 bottles of beer on the wall in the car. We got to Denver. We got to the cousins. They had the most spectacular 2 weeks together. And on the car ride back, we stopped 4 times. We drove 4 hours a day, stopped in a hotel and swam, cranked up the AC, got back to Los Angeles, and my son said, Dad, seeing those cousins swimming in the pool of the hotel, that was amazing. Next year, let's fly. That is a rough road trip. About 5 years ago, I realized that my children were not eating any vegetables. I didn't eat vegetables as a kid. My mom had canned corn, that was our vegetable, pork chops every night, and baked beans. So that was a favorite meal of ours growing up. But my wife is big into vegetables, and she makes a phenomenal spinach salad, and that is how I get my vegetables every night. My wife's beautiful spinach salad, which my kids actually really liked. They began to eat spinach salad as a vegetable. Kind of amazing. So every night that's what they're eating. They would get bored of the spinach salad and we'd try a different vegetable. My daughter would eat a bunch of different vegetables, but my son didn't like any other vegetable, just spinach salad. After about 6 months of spinach salad, he says, I love my son. He's an amazing kid. And I'm sorry that I'm throwing him under the bus. But come on, after what he did at the Grand Canyon, forget him. So he's sitting there and he takes a bite of the spinach. He goes, I hate spinach. I'm never eating it again. And I said, honey, you're going to eat spinach. No, I'm not. Well, you can have whatever other vegetable you want. I'm not eating any vegetables ever again. Now, his uncle, my brother Henry, is very strong. Don't you want to be strong like Uncle Henry? I don't care. I don't want to be strong like Uncle Henry. Well, you like playing soccer, and you need to be strong for soccer. I like soccer. I want to be strong for soccer. But I'm not eating spinach. You're eating spinach. And I had a standoff. Now, I wasn't yelling at him the way my parents might have yelled at me in the 70s, but I was being firm. I was holding a limit. I've learned from the parenting books. I got them all over the place. I learned from the parenting books that you need to empathetically hold limits. You don't bring out the belt or the hairbrush. You don't flick the kid in the mouth. This is not allowed anymore. It's not funny. That's not funny at all. But I said, I'm going to hold this limit for you, honey, and you're going to need to eat the spinach. And he started sobbing. But it was a cry that was coming from the depths of his soul. It was breaking my heart. And all of a sudden, in a not very good parenting moment, I started laughing. And from the depths of his despair, he says, "What's so funny?" I said, "Honey, I can imagine you, hopefully not, but maybe 20 years from now, sitting on a therapist's couch and saying, 'My dad made me eat spinach because he wanted me to be strong so I could play soccer.'" And he looked at me and he started laughing. He said, "But I'm still not eating the spinach." I said, "All right, let's throw that spinach away." And we threw the spinach away, and hopefully my son will not talk about the spinach incident with his therapist 20 years from now. If he has to, it's okay. I get it. And my son loves to hear stories of my rough childhood when I was growing up. He loves to hear how seatbelts, when I was a kid, was my mom's arm. How many of you had that? You sat in the front seat, your mom or dad is driving, and her arm comes to hold me back in case of an accident. Seatbelts didn't exist in the cars we had. Maybe they did. Nobody knew where they were. I talked to him about the smoking section in the airport, on the airplanes. Those of you of a certain age know what I'm talking about. So, not first class, but in the coach section, from seats 10 to 20 was the non-smoking section, and seats 21 to 30 was the smoking section. If you were at seat 19 and there was a guy or girl behind you 20, there was that going on. I don't think my son has ever seen someone smoking in Los Angeles. I don't think you're allowed to smoke in Los Angeles. I'm not sure. I also tell him a really sad story that when you turned on the radio, if you couldn't find a song that you liked, you had to listen to what was on the radio. "Dad, you mean you couldn't put on Spotify and get 6 billion songs?" "No, honey, Spotify didn't exist. You had to listen and like what was on the radio." And television, we only had 4 channels. 4 channels, Dad. You had a rough childhood. "I know. If you didn't want to watch Donahue or soap opera or after school special, you had to go outside and play." "Oh, that's terrible. You didn't have YouTube and 6 trillion billion hours of video uploaded every minute?" "No." "You didn't have cat videos?" "No." "You didn't have video gamings?" "No. We had to play kick the can, kick the can." "What was that?" "Well, that was when you took a can and you kicked it." "Oh, Dad, you must have been poor. You had a rough childhood." We talked about bike riding because my son, he puts on a very well-fitting, extravagant helmet whenever he rides his bike. And he's not even allowed to skateboard at the skate park unless he has pads on his elbows, knees, wrists, and his helmet. When I was a kid, none of that existed. We rode our bikes without helmets. When I was a kid, the older kids would knock you off your bike, take your bike, and play Evel Knievel with it. Danny Lauterbach down the street used to love to go down and ramp off this homemade ramp that he did, and to make it a little bit more exciting, he would lay the younger kids underneath of the ramp, 5 at a time, to see if he could ramp over 5 kids. And when he cleared 5, he'd add another one, and add another one, and add another one, until the last kid watched as Danny's bike came down and his rear wheel and his rear end hit my ribs. I had a tire track on my ribs for the rest of the summer, but I was the star of the whole street, showing off my tire tracks on my ribs. "You had a rough childhood, Dad." I know, I did. And then just 2 nights ago, I was looking at my son. He's now 12 years old. And I said, "Henry, what are you going to say to your kids? Or what are your kids going to say to you 20 years from now, maybe if you ever be a father?" Maybe you'll be like, "You know, children, when I was younger, all we had was wireless internet. When I was younger, all we had were 6 billion hours of video on YouTube. When I was younger, all we had was Spotify playing 6 billion songs. Now you kids, you've got the," what would it be? And my son spent the next 20 minutes. "Oh, there'll be a chip in your brain, and you'll have this on, and it's going to be amazing, and you never have to eat spinach ever again." And I said, "Henry, you have had a rough childhood."
Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. My name is Jasmin Cardenas and I live in Chicago, Illinois. I was born right here to Colombian parents who migrated from Colombia, South America. So I grew up speaking Espanol at home and English at school. Today I'm going to be speaking in both languages. I'm going to tell you a folk tale and a couple personal tales. A long, long time ago, before Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, people lived on this land. In North America, Central America, and all the way south to South America, and even in the Caribbean islands, people lived all over this land. They believed in balance, balance inside themselves and balance with each other, personal well-being and communal well-being. I'd like to start with a breath to recognize the First Nations of this land. I stand in Chicago, Illinois, that was originally called Jigagoo by the native people. The Anishinaabe and the Council of Three Fires, the Ottawa, the Potawatomi, and the Ojibwe lived on this land. Let's take a breath together. Our first story takes us to the land of the Mexica people. Who were the Mexica, you might say? Well, the Mexica were the Aztecs, who we now know as Mexicans. But the Aztecs, the Mexica, lived in northern Aztlán. Aztlán is a Nahua word because the native people spoke Nahua and many other languages as well. But in northern Aztlán, we begin. Today, Aztlán is known as California, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico. The Mexica people lived in this region, and they received a prophecy from their god, Huitzilopochtli. Their Huitzilopochtli god told them that they must walk until they found a very specific sign, and there they should build their homes. So the people, a long, long time ago, began to walk south. And when they arrived to the spot where there was an eagle standing on the top of a cactus with a serpent in its mouth, surrounded by water, there they should build their homes. And the people left and migrated for many years until they came to Lake Texcoco. And certainly there in the middle of Lake Texcoco was an águila, an eagle, standing on a nopal, a cactus, with a serpiente, a serpent in its mouth and talons. And there, in present-day Mexico City, which was called Lake Texcoco, is where they decided to build their homes, in present-day Mexico City. On this walk, they met many animals, and our first story introduces the ocelot. An ocelot is not as big a cat as a tiger or a lion, but it's not as small a cat as your house cat. This is an animal that is in between. Meow. El ocelote, the ocelot, el ocelote, lived on the land and had a beautiful bronze golden colored fur that shone in the light. Ocelote was a very gentle animal, a very friendly animal indeed. And Ocelote loved to prance along the grasses, eating berries and shrubs and grass and flowers, and loved to play with the animals. Ocelote was a kind animal. In the day, he would look at his reflection in the mirror of the lake, and at night, he would stay up and look up to the sky. There, he felt connected to the stars in the sky. He would look up at Venus, who was also called Citlalpul in Nahua. And he would look at Venus and say, "Oh, my sister Venus, it is nice to see you tonight." And they would chat. But his very favorite bright star in the sky was Madre Metzli, Mother Moon. You know And I know today that the moon and Venus are not stars, but to the ocelot they were bright stars. And his favorite was Madre Metzli. Metzli means moon in Nawa. And he would look up at moon and say, "Oh, Metzli, you are the most beautiful in the sky. You are my favorite. I could watch you forever." And night after night, Ocelote would come out to speak to his sister Venus and Madre Metzli in the sky. And one night, someone came intruding through the sky. Who was that? A bright, shiny tail alerted him. And he looked up. He did not like this foreigner. "Foreigner in the sky, who are you? What are you doing here? Meow!" Ocelote would scream up to the sky. Meow! Well, Venus heard him and said, "Oh, brother, Ocelot, do not worry about her. That's Citlalmina. She's just crossing through on her own journey. Pay her no attention. But she's trying to be brighter than you, Sister Venus, and she's trying to outshine Mother Moon. She should not do such things." Well, Venus tried to tell him to be patient. Don't worry, she's on her own journey. But Ocelote would have none of it. "Meow! Get out of the sky! Get out of the sky, you intruder! You do not belong here!" He would screech up to the sky. Well, Citlalmina, this beautiful long tail of hers that shone brightly, deserved respect, and she did not like being spoken to that way. And she looked down at the ocelot and said, "Who are you, mere cat, to talk to me this way? For I am the fair Citlalmina, and I deserve to be adored." Well, night after night of him screeching up, "Meow, meow, get out of the sky! You don't belong here, go back to your home." She did not like that, and one night when he got particularly loud, she let out from her long tail of light, bright shards of light. Fire came raining down from the sky, and Ocelote wasn't prepared, and meow, 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 he was hit with these balls of fire, and he ran and ran and ran into the side of a cave and hid. But it was too late. When he came back out the next morning, he looked into the mirror image in the lake, and he was singed with dark spots all over his beautiful golden coat. He was no longer the same. Meow! What has she done? Meow! What has she done? And he was filled with a rage he had never felt before and an anger for this foreigner. And he, meow! Out of anger, he started to eat the little animals that scurried about. He hid in the cave and came out as it began to grow darker in the dusk. And he would eat little animals, so angry that he had been hurt. Venus looked down on her brother and said, "Oh, Celote, don't mind those spots. Don't forget about them. Don't mind those spots. You are still a beautiful ocelot." But he was not convinced. Mother Moon, Metzli, she took pity on him, and she gave down to him a gift. She gifted Ocelote the ability to see at night, so that he could come out at night to eat and not be embarrassed by others who looked at his dark spots. And so he did. At night he would come out, but instead of eating grass and herbs and flowers, he began to hunt those little animals that were smaller than him that he could capture. Meow! 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 Because he was forever filled with an anger for the way that he had changed. And we know that this is a story that explains how Ocelot got its spots from the ancient Aztecs. That Madre Metzli, Mother Moon, and Venus gifted little Ocelot the ability to see at night so he would not be affronted by the other animals. And that star that was shooting through the sky, Citlalmina, well, maybe you might call her a shooting star. Maybe you'll call her Halley's Comet. But remember, the native people looked at the world around them and made sense of it. with keen observation. This story of the Mexica crossing down through the land of Aztlan until they arrived to their present-day Mexico City, where along the way they met the ocelote. This story is a story of migration, of how others come by, and maybe we need to become a little more accepting and not be like ocelote, but maybe be a little bit more like Venus, who told him, be patient, they are on their journey. My family also migrated, but instead of going from north to south, my parents came from South America in Colombia, up north. And when they arrived to Chicago, they made their home, and they had us, my brothers and I. And when I was a little girl, I was surrounded by friends here in Chicago who liked to do one very specific thing. They loved sleepovers. Everybody would go to each other's houses for sleepovers. For birthday parties, they would invite me, and I'd be like, Mommy, can I please go? I really want to go to this birthday party and sleep over. And my mom said, no, usted en casa ajena no se va a quedar. But Mom, they're not strangers. They're my friends. You see, my mom didn't speak English. So she didn't really know the neighbors to the right and the left because they also didn't speak English. And she certainly didn't know my friends at school and who their parents were. And she couldn't speak to them. So to her, all those people were strangers. And she said, usted no se va a quedar en casa ajena. You cannot stay in a stranger's house. Oh man, but everybody's gonna go. So my mom would let me go to the parties, but then she'd always pick me up before bedtime. One year, she said that I could have a sleepover. Oh, Mommy, I want to invite the whole class. Tres, Jasmin. Puede invitar tres niños. Niñas. Only three? Entonces nadie. Okay, Mommy. Okay, three. She said that I could invite three friends, so I invited Jenny, my Italian-American and Irish-American best friend. I invited Jisha, my African-American best friend. And I invited Lisette, my Colombian-American and Mexican-American best friend. And all three said they could come. Ooh, I was so excited. Mommy, we have to have cheese pizza because my friends love cheese pizza. Ay, cheese pizza, Jasmin, eso es tan cursi. Algo más especial. No, Mom, nothing more special. Just cheese pizza, okay? That's what my friends like to eat. Okay, Jasmin, vamos a ver. We'll see, she said. And Mommy, we really need some games. I want to go to the store and get Pin the Tail on the Donkey, and we need music for musical chairs, and maybe hot potato. Okay, Jasmin. Su tía y tío te van a llevar a la tienda y usted escoge. Oh, she was right. My aunt and uncle took me to the store, and when I arrived, there were these big, beautiful, colorful things hanging from the ceiling in the store. You use them for fiestas. If you said a piñata, you are right. I picked a big, beautiful sun piñata. And then I looked around for all the fun things that we could stuff it with. Ooh, there were chocolates and lollipops and games, little plastic toys. I was so excited. I looked around. I didn't see Pin the Tail on the Donkey, but I did see a different game. Oh, I was going to get Loteria. I was so excited. It would be the perfect game to play with my friends. I played this game all the time with my aunt and my uncle at home, and I knew my friends would enjoy it too. I looked around and I didn't see any music that we could buy, but my tío said, ay, Jasmin, va a haber mucha música, no se preocupe. He was right. We always have music at our parties. I didn't have to worry about it. The day of the party, I was hanging up balloons and streamers and getting everything ready when ding dong, the doorbell rang. In came Jenny. Hey, Jen, let's put your pajamas and your sleeping bag and your pillow in my room. And then she said, Jazz, where is everybody? I said, well, you're kind of early. Don't worry, they'll get here soon. I'm not early. I am on time. My dad's always on time. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. You can help me decorate. It's fine that you're early. And we started putting up balloons and streamers when ding dong, the doorbell rang. And in came my aunt, my uncles, my cousins, and everybody else. And my tía, my aunt, came right up to me. Ay, Jasmin, sí que estás flaca. Usted no está comiendo. ¿Por qué no está comiendo? Tienes que comer o si no se va. My aunt talked so fast in Espanol that I looked over at my friend Jenny and she was red in the face. What's wrong, Jen? Are you okay? And Jen said, Jazz, do they speak English? Oh yeah, they speak English. Don't worry. Davidcito, I said to my cousin, David, why don't you say something in English to Jen? Cool, dude. See, they speak English. And ding dong, the doorbell rang and in came Jisha. Hey girl, happy birthday. I said, let's put your pillow and your blanket in my room. Jish said, hey, what are we going to play? I want to play a game. I said, awesome. Let's play Loteria. It's a really fun game that I play with my aunts. I'm going to pull out a card. And if you have a little image, you're gonna put your chocolate M&M right on the card. And then if you get down, or if you fill them across, or if you get them at an angle, you say Loteria. So this is bingo? I said, well, not really. It's called Loteria. Jazz, this sounds like Mexican bingo. Geesh, I'm not Mexican, remember? I'm Colombian. Okay. Listen, I play bingo all the time at church. I got this, Jazz. And so I started calling out the cards. El Sol! And sure enough, a few of them had it, so they put it on their card. And then I called out, La Sirena! And Jisha's like, what? She ain't got no clothes on, Jazz. Why is she naked? She's not naked, G. She's a mermaid. She's wearing shells. She doesn't need clothes. Remember, she lives in the ocean. Yeah, Jazz, but she should have some clothes on. And I called out the next card. El Borracho. El Borracho. And G said, ooh, Jazz, is that a drunk guy? That looks like a drunk guy to me. I said, well, it's El Borracho. He's always in the card pile. You play with drunk cards and naked cards? Ooh, Sister Wickheiser ain't gonna like this game. I said, there's nothing wrong with the game. I always play this game with my family. She said, I'ma tell. You see, the nuns at our school looked down at things that had to do with drinking or not being dressed properly. And I was getting so nervous because she was gonna tell Sister Wickheiser. And so I was like, maybe we should stop playing. She said, let's keep playing. I wanna see what else is in this card. And I called out, El Diablito! Oh, Jazz, you're playing with the devil up in here? Ooh! And just as I started to get really nervous and red in the face, in came Lisette. And Lisette looked at me and she's like, Jazz, what's wrong? Are you okay? And she's like, look, Jazz is playing with the devil. She's got devil cards and drunk cards and naked people in this game. And Lisette said, naked people? I said it was La Sirena. She's like, La Sirena's a mermaid, Geesh. We play Loteria with my family all the time. What are you talking about? And Geesh's like, you play this game too? And Lisette said, yeah, everybody does. We play with our grandmas. Okay. So we kept playing, and sure enough, Geesh had a big old pile of M&Ms, and so did Jenny because she played bingo at church, and everybody had a good time. And then Geesh said, Jazz, I'm hungry. What are we going to eat? And I said, oh, my mom is going to make us cheese pizza. Let's go see if it's ready. Now, in my old house, to go from the living room where we were playing Loteria to get to the kitchen, you had to cross through the dining room. And in the dining room, there was a great big pig on the dining room table with an apple in its mouth and flowers around its neck and sunglasses on. And Geesh was like, ew, what's that? Gross. And Jenny said, dead pig, dead pig. And Lisette said, oh man, I don't want to eat lechon. And Geesh is like, you eat that thing? Gross, that's disgusting. And Jenny was hiding under the table and Geesh was totally grossed out. And I called out, Mom, Mommy. And my mom came in, ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa, muchachas? And I said, Mom, why is there a lechon on the table and where's the cheese pizza? And my mom said, es algo especial para su cumple. Mommy, I don't want anything special for my birthday. I told you, it's my birthday. It's not Christmas and it's not New Year's. I don't want lechon. I wanted cheese pizza. And my mom looked at Jenny hiding and Geesh totally grossed out and Lisette looking unimpressed. And she said, Okay, okay, niñas. Outside, outside. I get cheese pizza. Go outside, play. And when my mom sent us outside, my dad was standing in the back window of the house holding onto a rope, and at the other end was my uncle on top of the roof of the garage. And in the middle was this really big, beautiful piñata. And Jisha's like, oh, cool, Jazz. When you're done with this, can I have it for my room? I would love to decorate my room with that thing. And I said, Jisha, I don't think you're going to want that when we're done with it. Now, what you guys need to know is that when I was a little girl, you couldn't go to Target to just buy a piñata. You would have to go to a specialty store, a Latin specialty store, to purchase a handmade one. And so my girlfriends, well, they had never seen a piñata before. And so when my brother got blindfolded and was given a great big stick and started swinging in the sky, Jisha's like, you're gonna break it. Jenny said, be careful. And Lisette said, you guys get ready, just get ready. And sure enough, bah, 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 all the candy came flying all over the floor. And Jisha's like, ooh, is that a Snicker bar? And Jenny said, oh, look, I got a mood ring. And they started piling up all their candy and filling their shirts with it. And when it was done, they said, can we do that again? I said, sorry guys, we can only break it one time. And that's when my cousin walked by with a great big plate of food. Jish was like, Jazz, can I get some of what your cousin David is eating? I like rice and beans. I said, Jish, are you sure you want to eat what he's eating? She said, yeah, I like rice and beans. My mama makes me rice and beans all the time. And I said, Mami, Jish wants to eat what Davidito's eating. And my mom said, ¿Estás segura? Are you sure? And I said, yeah. So my mom came by with big plates of food for my friends and I, and we started eating. Jish said, these are the best rice and beans I ever had. And Jenny said, this is really yummy, Jazz. And Lisette said, I thought you guys didn't want to eat lechon. Lechon? This is that dead pig you got up in there? And I said, yeah, but Jish, you just said it was really yummy. And Lisette, you did, and Jenny, you did too. And Jish said, it is pretty good, Jazz. And my mom had to bring them seconds because they liked it so much. And that's when the music started. And I said, you guys, you wanna dance some salsa? And Jish was like, oh, Jazz, I'm so full. I can't eat any more salsa and chips. I'm full. I said, no, Jish, not eat salsa and chips. I said, dance salsa. She's like, what? I said, yeah, we always dance. All you got to do is listen to the clave. Ba, 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 ba. The music will help you dance. All you got to do is go side together, ba-da, ba, 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 da, ba, 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 ba. Everyone started trying it side to side. Da, 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 da. Da 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 da. Everyone was turning and dancing and having a great old time. That's when my mom said, "Ay, niñas, mire la hora que es. Es hora de dormir. Póngase las pijamas." You guys, my mom says we gotta put our PJs on. It's getting late. And I said, come on, we'll go to my room. And as we were running inside, my mom said, Jasmin, póngase las pijamas, pero ¿quieren chocolate caliente? Oh, you guys, my mom is asking if we want hot chocolate. And she's like, yeah, Miss Cardenas, I like Hershey's. And Lisette said, I like Swiss Miss. And Jenny said, do you have strawberry quick? And my mom said, ay, vaya vistasen. You guys, I don't know if my mom's got that stuff, but let's get dressed. And we came down and the girls were dancing to the music and listening, and then they could smell something delicious. And Jisha's like, what is that smell? We went into the kitchen and my mom was standing over the stove with a chocolatera and a molinillo. And she was making us hot chocolate. She's like, what's your mama hitting the stove for? I said, you guys, that's how you make hot chocolate. You see, my mom's got to crush it and spin it. Crush it and spin it. Chocolate, chocolate, bate, bate, chocolate. And Gisha's like, that's strange. I ain't ever seen hot chocolate made like that. I said, just wait and see, you guys. You got to taste it. My mom handed each one of my friends a hot cup of chocolate caliente. And I said, you got to blow on it because it's really hot. And Gisha's like, this smells good, Jazz. I ain't ever had hot chocolate like this before. I said, it's really good, isn't it? And Jenny said, it's really, really hot, but it's delicious. I said, yeah, that's Colombian hot chocolate. And I showed them that it was a hard bar of chocolate. And this particular one was Abuelita Chocolate. Gisha said, you drink your grandma? And I said, no, Gish, there's the picture of an old lady like a grandma because the hot chocolate is as good as your grandma makes. And she's like, oh, I agree, that's real good. And that night when we went to sleep, I was so nervous that everybody at school was going to be talking about how weird my party was, how strange the game was with the half-dressed people and the drunken guy and the devil card, or how gross the food was because there was a dead pig in my house, or maybe they were going to be talking about how weird it was that people were dancing in my party. But no. Everybody was talking about how cool my party was and how fun it was because they'd never been to a party with that cool game of loteria and they had never danced salsa or eaten that special hot chocolate. And so the very next year, everybody wanted to come to my party because different doesn't mean bad. Different just means different. I hope that you will look at your family traditions and see how unique and different they are, and love them even more. Because our families and our communities are so beautiful in their uniqueness. And if we were all the same, it'd be a pretty boring life. Oftentimes people ask me, why do you tell Spanish stories in Spanish and English? Why are you a bilingual teller? And I tell them that it's because I can pinpoint the exact moment I became a bilingual teller. You see, post-college, I got this incredible job telling stories, traditional American folk tales, at schools and libraries. I would show up with my partner storyteller, Amy Ressler, who taught me a ton, and together we would go in and tandem tell stories like The Three Little Pigs. And then, after we tell the story in the classroom, we take everyone outside to the big, beautiful Cole McCormick story bus. It was a vehicle that was bigger than a city bus, but smaller than a semi-truck. And we had to drive it to the schools. And after we told them the story, we'd bring the children into the vehicle because it was a children's museum on wheels. So one day, we drove up to a little Catholic school on the north side of Chicago, and the teacher said, oh, I'm so happy you're here. My children love stories. They're all on the carpet ready for you. And sure enough, they were all sitting there. And she said, don't worry about Elmer. He's the one in the back. He never pays any attention. You just keep going. And so Amy and I, we launched into the story. Once upon a time, there was a great big mama sow with 3 little pigs. 1, 2, 3. And they didn't stay little. No. They grew and grew and grew. And all the kids were doing it with us. They grew and grew and grew. And they went walking and walking and walking down the road. And I noticed that little Elmer was just sitting at the back of the carpet with a pencil in his hand, just rubbing it into the carpet, not paying any attention. And as we continued to move through the story, all the action that was happening, the building of the sticks, he wasn't doing anything. So I looked at Amy and she handed back the story to me and I just launched in, Cochinito, cochinito, déjeme entrar. And little Elmer's eyes got wide and he turned around and looked at me. And Amy's eyes got wide too because she had no idea what I was saying. So I said it in English. Little pig, let me come in. And then we kept going. And as Amy was huffing and puffing and blowing down the house, I was huffing and puffing in Spanish and English. And by the end of the story, all the kids were bilingual pigs and wolves. And little Elmer was, soplaré, y soplaré, y soplaré tu casita. Huff and puff and blew the pig's house down. Everyone was having such a great time. The teacher said to us at the end, "Oh my word, Elmer has never been so engaged." And that took me back to a moment when I was a little girl, sitting on the carpet at my Catholic school. And my parents had been brought in for a parent-teacher conference, and my teacher was talking to them. "Mr. and Mrs. Cardenas, we really need you to stop speaking to Jasmin and Fabian in Spanish at home. They really must learn English." And I remember seeing my dad tighten up and stand tall. And in his broken English, he said, "We speak Spanish at home. You teach English in school to Jasmin and Fabian. How we speak to our children if we not speak English?" My father, in his broken English, managed to speak our truth and stand up for our heritage and our language. And that's why I speak Spanish today. That's why I'm bilingual. I remember going back to Elmer's class the next time and the next time. And little by little, I noticed it changed. The first time I went back, I saw words. Ventana, window. Puerta, door. Uno, dos, tres. All kinds of Spanish words in the class. And once Elmer came running up to me holding a book that was about making tamales with your Mexican family. And he said, Miss Jasmin, mire, como mi familia, like my family." His joy was brilliant. And it was because he'd been included. You see, representation matters. And to Elmer, it made all the difference in the world. I may not speak Polish and Arabic and Urdu and Japanese or Taiwanese. I wish I did. But I can do my small part with Espanol to make sure that everyone feels included in story time. Because our world will only be a better place if we can help everyone feel included. I hope you'll do your part too. Thank you so much.